Deep within the Zanskar Valley stands Gonbo Rangjon, a peak rising sharply from the valley floor. To the local Zanskari people, this is a sacred site, known as God's Mountain. Its sudden popularity on social media suggests that new roads have turned this remote landmark into a fast, easy side trip from Manali. While the Border Roads Organization is working toward year-round access, the current path still consists of narrow, snow-packed tracks and high-altitude river crossings. A brief window exists to see this mountain in its raw state before a new tunnel changes the valley forever. But underestimating the journey transforms a weekend road trip into a difficult logistical ordeal. To reach Zanskar, you have to leave the temperate, lush valleys of Himachal Pradesh behind and climb into a barren, high-altitude semi-desert. Starting in Manali at 6,700 feet, you ascend rapidly into the thinner air of the Great Himalayas. The road peaks at Shinku La Pass, over 16,700 feet, before a short descent to the Gonbo Ranjan base camp at 14,700 feet. This vertical gain over a short driving distance places an intense physiological load on your system. The road beyond the pass is often unpaved and covered in loose rock, with steep descents that lack any form of safety barrier. Attempting this route in a standard two-wheel guide sedan or a hatchback carries a high risk of mechanical failure. Low-clearance vehicles frequently get terminally stuck on hidden rocks while attempting to cross the deep rushing streams formed by melting glaciers. A high-clearance 4x4 or a specialized adventure motorcycle is a requirement for this terrain. This chart shows how ambient temperature dictates your safety. As the sun warms the glaciers, the volume of water crossing the road increases. Arriving at a crossing after 2 p.m. often means facing a river that is too deep to pass safely. This dynamic creates a rigid schedule. You must depart early in the morning to reach your destination before the meltwater peaks. The terrain dictates your vehicle and your timing. If you ignore either, you will find yourself stranded miles from any assistance. Upon reaching the base camp, the dramatic landscape of the valley provides a stunning view that is simultaneously masking a hostile environment. Sleeping at 14,700 feet is a severe challenge for anyone who hasn't properly acclimatized. At this height, your blood oxygen drops significantly. The most common results are throbbing headaches and total sleeplessness throughout the night. To manage this, you must build in rest days at lower altitudes, like Lahaul or Keelong, before making the final ascent to the mountain. The local campsites offer basic amenities for 1,500 rupees a night, which typically includes simple meals of rice and dal. However, the standard blankets provided are often insufficient for nights where temperatures drop into the single-digit Celsius. Bring sub-zero rated sleeping bags, pack thermal layers, and your own emergency rations. Staying at the base of Gonbo Rangjon is more comparable to a mountaineering expedition than a typical camping trip. The reason travelers endure these conditions is to experience the unique culture preserved within the Zanskar Valley. This region is one of the few places where the Tibetan Buddhist tradition remains a central daily practice, largely unaffected by outside influences. In villages like Kargak, residents still live in agrarian life, piling wood and yak dung on mud roofs to prepare for the long, isolating winters. For centuries, the difficulty of the mountain passes has acted as a barrier, protecting these communities from the impact of mass tourism. That isolation is ending. The Shinku La Pass tunnel will soon bring year-round connectivity to the valley. This new infrastructure will begin a shift away from traditional subsistence toward a tourism-driven service economy. As road travel becomes the standard, the traditional walking paths and horse transport that have defined Zanskar for generations will likely fall into disuse. The opportunity to see the Zanskar Valley in its authentic historical state is limited to the next few years. The high-altitude risks and logistical challenges are the current price of witnessing this culture before it transitions into a modern tourist hub. Gonbo Rangjon is a site of immense local importance, with a visual scale that is rarely seen elsewhere, but it sits in an environment that is actively hostile to those who are unprepared. This flowchart helps determine if you are actually ready for this journey. Gate 1 is the vehicle check. If you don't have a high-clearance 4x4 or an adventure bike, the road conditions make the trip too risky. Gate 2 is the schedule. You must cross the glacial streams before noon to avoid the highest water levels. Gate 3 is physical. You need several days of acclimatation to safely handle the lack of oxygen at base camp. If you are driving a two-wheel drive vehicle, restricted by a tight timeline, or haven't tested your body at high altitudes, you should reconsider the trip. The journey is best suited for the overlander who carries sub-zero gear, drives a capable vehicle, and understands the daily patterns of the mountains. Respect the altitude, respect the meltwater, and respect God's mountain. Only then can you make an informed choice.